Our first guest of the day is the offensive coordinator heading into his second season. His name is Jeff Grimes. Jeff, great to have you on BYU Sports Nation. How you doing?
First guest of the day. Wow, I feel honored.
It's great to have you. What'd you think of the Super Bowl? Did you enjoy it? Was it a good game? How was the party?
Glad it was a close game. Disappointed there weren't more points scored.
Yeah, an offensive coordinator would say that, right? Yeah, you want to see more points.
Absolutely.
Let's jump right into last season, then we'll skip ahead to Zach Wilson and Jaren Hall. Lots to discuss here. Some notable improvements from the offense last year. You headed into spring ball just in a couple of weeks, which is crazy. What did you like most about the improvement from in your first year?
I think the biggest thing was just the difference in the overall willingness to compete, confidence level with the players. I think the culture changed, maybe even more at times than some of the stats may show. And I think the kids bought into what we asked them to do. And as the season progressed, we made some significant changes as we moved forward with different personnel. And they were willing to do everything that we asked and went out every Saturday. And I think felt like we were going to win.
From an offensive standpoint, Coach, what's been that priority for you and the offensive staff in the offseason?
Recruiting. So far, just trying to upgrade our talent level, number one. But we'll start here now that we're off the road. Signing day coming up Wednesday. We'll move ahead with getting ready for spring ball. And, we'll spend a couple of weeks looking at all of our stats and cut-ups from this season, spend some time looking at what we did well, what we didn't do as well, and decide what we'll do differently moving forward.
Speaking of recruiting, last year you kind of had to play a little catch-up after getting hired. How has this year been different in terms of having a full season and an off-season to prepare for recruiting?
Yeah, much better. Recruiting is about relationships more than anything else, and I think the opportunity to build those relationships over the period of a year made a difference. But I think really it starts nowadays a whole lot earlier than that. And so I think this next recruiting class will show those relationships that we've been able to build over a 2-year period.
What positions were a priority in this particular recruiting class that you're hoping to add the second, wave from December and now on Wednesday to?
Running back is one, obviously, losing a couple of guys. So we've been spending some time looking at running backs. And then, our recruiting model is a little bit different. So we're always going to take the best players that are a natural fit for BYU. And in some years that may mean a little bit more of one thing than another. And then obviously we may not see a lot of those guys for a couple of years.
Coach, Kalani, Zach Wilson, some other players were at the BYU basketball game on Saturday, and Zach's arm was in a sling. What can you tell us about his injury, and when do you think he's going to be able to practice again?
I'm aware of it, know that they worked on it, but I don't know exactly how long they're anticipating for him to be in the sling or to be out. So
not sure about spring ball quite yet?
Correct.
Gotcha. Let's talk about Jaren Hall, who's a good baseball player. And we talked to Kalani Sitake a couple weeks ago about this. But I guess what's the plan for managing him, because he is a dual sport athlete and he's no slouch at baseball. He's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard that. I think we'll still see him most, if not all, of spring practice. And I've been around that before, where you had a guy that played football and another sport. If a guy is good enough to help another team, then you manage it the best you can, but know that spring ball is important, particularly for a young guy who plays quarterback.
Moroni Laulu-Pututau was running the other day, so that's obviously a good sign when you've got a weapon like that unfortunately his season was cut short with injury. Being able to get him back and healthy, what have you been seeing from him as he progresses from that injury?
Yeah, I think he's ahead of schedule from what the trainers have said. And obviously we love him. He's a great talent and was on track for a great year last year. And so hopefully, he's a guy that's been injured a lot, but hopefully he's got those things behind him now and can move ahead and have a full year.
Do you still have a mustache, Jeff?
I do not.
You lost it. When did you shave it?
Yeah, the day after the bowl game.
Oh, wow. So it was.
You wasted no time then.
Yeah, I made a deal with my wife.
And it was the duration of the season then.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
How has this offseason been different for you versus last season where you were just hired? There were a lot of questions, of figuring out the playbook, and you get Zach Wilson right away. So how has this been a little different for you 1 year later?
Well, like I said, to this point, we've spent most of our time recruiting, so we're not really in the full off-season mode. I think what will be different is we'll be able to go the next level with our staff and our players a whole lot sooner. The other thing last year is at this point, a big part of what we were doing was hiring staff. And, at this point, most of that is intact. And so I am excited to get signing day behind us and be able to move ahead with getting ready for spring ball, which will be here very soon.
Coach, speaking of the offensive staff, Ryan Pugh, now the offensive coordinator at Troy, I know you guys had a pretty special relationship and still do, I'm sure. How proud are you of what Ryan accomplished here, and where do things stand on hiring a new O-line coach?
Well, we're in the process of interviewing some guys. We got 3 or 4 guys. Of course, I've talked to a lot of guys, and a lot of people have shown interest in the job, really qualified coaches. But we've got 3 or 4 guys that we're in the process of interviewing. I was sad to lose Ryan, but at the same time, I was honestly happy for him. It's a good opportunity for him, back close to home. He's got a young child, and so it's a chance for him to be back close to his family during this time where his family's just getting started. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if a coach comes in for a year and then leaves for something better. If he's contributed to the program, if the guy's able to leave the place better than it was when he came, then I think that's still a plus.
And that certainly looks to be the case, and you just lose one starter on that offensive line, which is exciting as well. Let's finish with this, Jeff. The 2019 schedule is out. Certainly another challenging, compelling, and great home schedule. You start with Utah, at Tennessee, USC, Washington, and many others. What sticks out about the 2019 schedule?
Start with Utah. That's what sticks out to me. I can't wait for that game. Leaving the field last year with such a bad taste in my mouth, having the opportunity, I felt like if we could have just done a little bit better there in the fourth quarter, we'd have walked away with a win, and really frustrated that we didn't get that done. And so I think for our staff and our players, it gives us great motivation for the next 6 months, knowing that that's who we open with.
Absolutely. And you've been to Knoxville a bunch. That's the next week.
Yeah, it's a fun place to play. There'll be a lot of people there, and a great chance for us to go show what kind of program we've got playing against a team in the best conference in the country.
Always good to be in Rocky Top. Jeff, we appreciate the time, and we will talk to you Wednesday on BYU Football Signing Day. We're very excited about that. Thanks for the time.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Take care.
Jeff Grimes on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. We appreciate Jeff joining us. We will talk to him Wednesday, Kalani Sitake, and many others on a 2-hour edition of BYU Football Signing Day.